paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, yeah, it's all right, refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
Well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hang on, I gotta chug this beer and then pour a new one.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back in.
Why did you do that to me?
Brainstorm Brewery. I thought that was the optimal time for everyone watching on YouTube to watch Jason mid-drink. It was the most awkward timing possible. Hey, and with that, we're Brainstorm Brewery.
I
We're
know
off
how
and
to
running.
fix it, Corbin. I know how to fix it. We
What's
start the episode with like Jason. It's just Jason's camera chugging in, and then like JJ does like a transition and zooms out of Jason and into the rest of us as he finishes the.
There you go. Do that, JJ.
Yeah. Add a little bit of flair.
We need to do another take.
Flair. We need flair. You have to.
I'm ready to do another take, Coach.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm back. I'm no longer sick. Kind of.
I
still
feel
have a
sick,
lingering-
kind of. I just chugged a whole beer. Jesus.
I still have a lingering ear infection, and so.
Well, welcome
voice-
back. DJ
voice
was.
sounds funny.
It turns out that going on the road for several weeks, maybe not the greatest for one's allergies and general health. But welcome back. We're glad to have you. I am back from vacation. We all made it. I got through my own 3-week stretch, and we decided to celebrate all of us being back this week by bringing in a very special guest all the way from right outside a little town called Hobbiton. Welcome in, Adrian.
I thought he lived in
Thank-
Australia.
I do live in Australia.
Why does
Yeah,
it
I'm-
say New Zealand next to your username? This is horse.
Corbin,
See?
Corbin, I've seen maps. New Zealand isn't real.
It's right there on your name, man.
You really?
No, I was. The first 38 years of my life were in New Zealand. Thanks for having me, guys.
Well, welcome
Thanks
on.
for confusing Corbin and making him look bad. He didn't know a thing that I know about one of our patrons who went to patreon.com/BSB.
Well,
Because I
that's,
pay attention.
that's what I was gonna say. Is
I wade into that mire, that
we-
wretched hive of scum and villainy, and I meet those people and I say, hey, I'm on a podcast. I'm better than you. But Corbin doesn't even know that a guy named Kip NZ is not from New Zealand. Doesn't even know that basic bit of information.
My bad.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, both Jason and DJ have managed to sell me magic cards, but Corbin has never done that.
Well, if
And I
Corbin
buy
had ever
magic
mailed
cards.
out any Patreon rewards, then he would know what your address was.
I mailed out those ashes. That's
Do you
the
know how
thing.
long it takes for his USPS donkey to cross the Bering Strait and then go all the way down to India and charter a ship to you?
If they don't do that, then why are they charging $85 to send one pint glass?
I think
to
it's got to be
Australia?
faster to take a boat down the coast than to go to India and charter another boat. That just logistically doesn't make sense to me. But that's not why we're here. Geographical misunderstandings aside, have you ever been to Hobbiton? Because I'd like to go.
No, I haven't. So I only lived about 40 minutes drive away from it for, I don't know, like 14 years, but didn't bother
No
going.
interest.
It was just home to you.
Yeah.
You had your own
it's just
hole in
like,
the ground. You didn't need to go look at anyone else's.
I look at you like, oh, it's 14 miles away. And I'm like, 14 miles is like the nearest restaurant to my house.
It doesn't. Do you mean kilometers? Because that's like fake miles anyway.
Everybody knows what miles is. That's the
It's
thing.
because all the educated part of the world can convert.
Okay. Convert 37 miles into kilometers.
Go.
Shows how educated you are. Yeah.
Hey, right to Google.
What's 37
Right
times
to the search
1.6,
bar.
buddy, in your head?
It's 58.
Show us that superior
50
education you got in
58, the
Australia
Google
or New
says.
Zealand. Either one.
Well,
It's 59.2.
As I thought.
Yeah.
little bit of that. I can't even say it. But
can we at least agree
regardless,
that a country that uses stone shouldn't exist?
what does that mean?
Listen, you're just mad you didn't learn your 13 times tables. It's very simple. You just divide your weight by 13, and that's how many stone it is.
Well, we are glad to have you on the show, Adrian. You were telling us before the cast, you are one of the very rare people out there, which none of us are. You are the only one on the podcast tonight who has, in fact, listened to every episode of the podcast. So props to you. We're thrilled to have you on. And as it turns out, you have expertise, not just in the area of sort of high-end grading cards. You were showing us a lot of your slab stuff beforehand. But we're going to talk about the Bank of America downgrade and kind of what you're going to give us some insight into the way the market works on the back end of that. So, yep, should be.
But first, we're going to play a game that we
episode.
call BSB Trivia. From episode 37, which cast member fell asleep?
That's not me.
Corbin.
Nah,
It
I don't think it was episode
Corbin.
37, but Ryan's definitely the only one who's fallen asleep.
It was Ryan for sure.
I have never fallen asleep, but I have missed an episode because I came home and fell asleep instead of getting on to record. That has happened.
Corbin has been like, let me go put Ben to bed, and then an hour later he's like, I fell asleep putting
Yep.
Ben to bed. Because
That's,
he doesn't know how
that's
to
happened.
putting a kid to bed's when you get in their bed and fall asleep, right? And they run around. Is that putting a kid to bed? I did that. Brilliant.
It was, in fact, Ryan. We went to him or something. It was a whole Bueller kind of
Yeah.
thing. And then he was snoring.
Yeah, I definitely remember that the cast member was snoring. But
Remember the year he was casting from his phone? He would get on Skype on his cellular
Yeah, but you
telephone,
know
and
what, Jason?
It
That
sounded
was,
like he was in Fallujah.
Yeah, but that was better than when he was on his computer and he couldn't get it to work at all. It was,
I still
it was
remember
a new
the-
battle
the-
every week.
the discussions about the group text chats, which would blow up. I think it was Corbin's phone, wasn't it?
No, it was
They
Ryan's.
couldn't handle-
That was
That was
Ryan's
Ryan's
phone. He
as
couldn't.
well.
He couldn't handle
Yeah.
the group text.
His
Oh.
phone was already podcasting. He couldn't
It's like a
handle
Nokia
text.
phone that's cooking like a grenade.
It
Like-
wasn't very money draft of him to not have any
All the
technology
memes you
that worked.
apply to me actually applied.
Isn't that funny how everybody remembers that like all the uppery that is attributed to Corbin? That's
Yep.
great. I love that.
Cool. I love it too. I'm glad we're having you on and that Jason had that bit of trivia.
You know what else I like? Breaking Bulk. It's a segment where we break some bulk.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, breaking bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
What an incredible transition. You know what? I'm in. Breaking bulk time.
Really? I was just making fun of how you do
Nope.
it super inappropriately early in the episode, but you're going to go with it.
Nope.
All
Here we
right.
go. I have an Amonkhet Black Rare.
Are rares
Uh,
allowed?
Archfiend of Ifnir.
Yes.
No,
You've listened to every episode. Yes, they're allowed. Plague Belcher.
it is Plague Belcher. Good job, DJ.
When was that ever bulk?
Last
It's
year.
not,
a
that's
very
the
long
point.
time.
It was bulk for the first 4 years of its existence. Beginning
Didn't
of,
they print Hapatra during the first 4 years after Amonkhet?
I'm
They
telling
printed it in Almond which is why it was bulk, because it was standard legal and nobody
Yep,
cared.
this
They
card
were
this
the same
card
set.
was not worth money until about a year ago, and it's kind of now looks like it's going even higher from the $4
Scorpion
mark that it's
God?
at.
Scorpion God did nothing to Plague Belcher.
I'm just telling you, man.
The card was still in print and was dirt.
What do you got, Jason?
I guess I'm remembering different. I've got a card from, I don't recognize set symbols. I think this is Brothers War. Hang on.
It's like 4 days old,
Dominaria
isn't it?
United. It's a thing that looks kind of like a penis.
You got any more than that, buddy? Or is it just a card from Dominaria that looks
It's
like
a card
penis?
from Dominaria United. It's an uncommon.
Does it
And
have
it has no color.
is it
A
the
Dominaria uncommon colorless card.
is it the
Mhm.
is it the equipment that makes a copy of itself?
Is it? I'm gonna need a name.
I do not know the name of the card.
Then I guess until you give me a name, I can't tell you that it's wrong. It's not the equipment.
Okay.
But I do need a name because I don't know what that card's called because I just can't pay attention anymore. Dominaria United was 8 sets ago. No one cares anymore. It's old. I still don't have my booster packs.
It is a while ago. I'll give you that.
Like, there's Brothers War on my desk. I still haven't finished sorting the Brothers War boxes I bought, and I saw spoilers for Jumpstart today. It's just...
Oh, you should buy a robot for that.
It's an uncommon artifact. It costs
Is
3
it the-
colorless.
Oh, it's the Mana
The
Rock.
Mana Rock.
Relic of Legends.
There you go.
Relic of Legends is over $8 retail. Do not bulk these out.
Card's awesome.
it's... what's that?
The card's awesome.
Yeah. And I got 7 of them across 2 collections this week.
Nice. There you go. That's bulk. All right, DJ, what do you got?
Commander 2018 White Uncommon.
Which one's Commander 2018?
It's the shield.
They're all a shield.
I know what he's talking about, but I don't know what the card is. Comeuppance.
Give me one legendary
Comeuppance
creature
is a
that was in
rare
that
from
set.
4 years off. So, give you what? One card from what that set?
One
Amanatu.
commander from that set.
Amanatu.
Amanatu? Oh, that's 2018. Okay. And it's what now?
White Uncommon.
A white uncommon.
Oh, wait. Oh, crud.
And was this its first printing?
Correct.
First and only?
Is it the...
I mean, first and only asterisk because it has like a list / mystery booster printing.
Is it...
I'm
But,
stumped.
other than a stupid list printing, it is the only printing. Yes.
I'm gonna feel real dumb, but I'm fairly stumped here.
I don't know.
Was it in the Amanatu deck?
I think yes. Loyal Unicorn. I think all of the loyal creatures were in all of their respective color
Oh,
decks.
that was 2018. Oh, those are they're all pretty good.
4
Yeah.
mana, 3/4 vigilance. Has Lieutenant, which is if you control your commander at the beginning of combat on your turn. It prevents all it fogs all your stuff on your turn if you have your
Yeah,
commander.
that's a great card.
It's 50 cents. I don't know how many of these add up to a beta regrowth, but that's a 9/5 or whatever from BGS. But if you pick enough loyal unicorns, one day you can avocado toast your way to a house. I guess this is the storybook ending for that.
Yeah,
There you
I've
go.
never picked bulk in my life, but I was very shocked by the price of a card that I needed to get for a deck last week. So I have a black uncommon from Fate Reforged.
Dark Deal.
Yeah, that was. I figured DJ was going to get that pretty quick. It's actually
Well-
the sixth most valuable card in that deck.
Yes.
Sorry, in that set.
In the
I was
set, yeah.
stunned. Yeah. Like it's like 2 mythics, 2 rares, and it must be 5th then. And then
Because they're
the
not going to
rest.
stop doing stupid Nekusar stuff.
Guess what deck I'm building?
Are you building Nekusar in Year of Our Lord 2K22?
Yeah, because like people like drawing cards, and so I don't want them to like that.
Okay.
I respect it.
Yeah,
The reason Hole Breacher is banned over here.
I mean, anybody playing a commander that's printed in 2013, a decade later, I have some semblance of like tipping my hat to.
That's fair.
my other, I literally just about 2 weeks ago changed my Doretti deck to being a Ragavan deck because it just turned out Ragavan was better in the deck. So it was just literally switched the two.
Ragavan?
From yeah,
Surely not Ragavan.
yeah.
The card's very powerful, especially when
Yeah.
you can
It's pretty okay.
like you
Oh,
always have somebody.
Doretti. I thought Derevi, and I was like, what?
Yeah, but you know, from Banff to Mono
Makes
Red.
sense. I thought you were talking about Derevi. Oh,
No, mono red Doretti with lots of artifacts. Turns out it's pretty good when you and things like that. So yeah. But anyway, yeah. So I'm building a new EDH deck, and I had to buy a Dark Deal this week.
I love that you just discovered EDH and you're starting at the beginning. It's just like you did with
Oh,
this
no.
podcast.
No, I've got I've had an EDH deck. So I think I have the most expensive EDH deck on EDH Rec. It's about $60,000. Look on Jackson's face. Yeah,
It's a choice.
So, but yeah, exactly. And then I have a Daretti deck that's $25,000 or something like that. So now I'm building a Necrosar deck that's going to be sort of the same sort of level.
Damn.
All right.
All right.
I got a fancy Merfolk deck, and that's all I got.
Well, I have a back-to-back surprise segment because I know Jason loves back-to-back surprise
He
segments.
does like segments, that's for sure.
So I picked a loyal creature, which is Loyal Unicorn. I told you it's 50 cents. And I'm running back our sponsored MTG Stocks cycle game thing, where I name a cycle of cards.
This is why it needs a name, DJ. You said cycle game thing.
Cycle game thing. Cycle game thing. Brought to you by MTG Stocks. It's the cycle game. Yeah.
It was a nice little ad hoc, just nameless, ephemeral piece of content that you just stepped on. So, for those who are unaware of how this little cycle game thing works, I'm going to name 5 cards, and then everybody else here has to rank those cards in price orders, so most expensive to least expensive. And this is the last time we did the Ikoria Tri-Lands, I believe. And this time we were doing the loyal cycle. So it's a bit of a smaller price scale, but just curious out of the demand for these. We have Loyal Subordinate, which is the black zombie one. We have Loyal Drake, which is the
blue,
I guess, Drake one. Loyal Apprentice, which is the red Thopter one. Loyal Guardian, which is the big stupid Rhino one. And then Loyal Unicorn.
Black's number 5.
As in most expensive or least expensive?
Least expensive.
I think the red one might be the least expensive.
Because it's got multiple printings? I think I think in terms of who's played the most, pretty sure blue's played the most, then green, then red, then white, then black.
The blue one does draw a card. It literally says it's a 3-mana, it's a Phyrexian Arena. The blue one is a Phyrexian Arena that flies.
I don't know what most of these cards do, but I'm going to say expensive, least expensive.
Corbin. So they're all relatively statted or whatever. The zombie one bolts each opponent every turn. The blue one draws you a card. The green one puts a +1 counter on all your creatures.
Oh, wait a minute. The black one bolts. I think people are going to start using that for Maeshra and stuff like that.
The unicorn fogs all your creatures and gives them vigilance, and then the red one makes a Thopter that has haste.
I feel like the black one was trash for a while, but I think it recently got dusted off for recent cards.
All right, here's my order. Green, blue, black, white, red.
In which order?
Expensive, green, then blue, then black, then white, then red.
Jason?
I already said, man. I don't remember what I said.
Oh, you had a revelation and then might have changed your mind. So
I wrote it down.
Let's go with what I said. Let's go with what I said already. Which I don't remember.
Well, your audible would have been correct, is what I will say.
What audible? Making black number 1?
Black is the most expensive one.
Okay, I'm not surprised. So I stuck with what I said before, but like,
all right, where's it go from there?
So the black one is the most expensive. And Jason's right.
It's only one printing, and it recently spiked.
It did spike recently. You're right. It's selling for around $3 right now. Ooh. And then the blue one is the next most expensive. It's around $1. Just draws you a card. Very bread and butter. The green one is after that. The green one was $4, but it got a reprint recently.
Yeah,
which crushed it down to 75
I knew
cents.
That.
I see.
And
didn't the red one get a reprint too?
The red one did get a reprint in Forgotten Realms Commander, but it was around 50 cents anyway, I think. The red and the white one are basically tied at lowest.
Sure.
That was close. Ish.
Was the black one the least expensive before it spiked recently?
No, it was.
Or would I have been
$1.
wrong anyway?
It was around $1. It was above red and white, but it was below blue, I think.
Well, did white get a reprint?
Just in the mystery booster, like I said.
Okay.
It's like it doesn't count.
I do like this game though.
Yeah, it's tough because there's a lot of factors.
Well,
and
yeah,
I knew some of them. So
the Triome is honestly like a perfect example of it. These are more like, we don't necessarily know the price of all of them, but it's also interesting for that reason. I'm a fan. Good game.
And this game is sponsored again by MTG Stocks. You can find this data on mtgstocks.com. You can find a lot more data in the MTG Stocks Discord, which launched recently. You can join the MTG Stocks Discord, which is free. It's free. Ours costs you money, a whole $1. You don't want to pull out your credit
Are you
card.
talking people out of joining our Discord?
No, he's talking them into spending $2 for our Discord so that they can have
Yeah.
a special badge next to their name that
says you didn't
delineates
spend
them
$1.
from the dollar people in the Discord. But regardless, you want to be in our Discord, and then once you're already on Discord, you may as well take the free value
For
of
an
the
average
MTG
of
Stocks
$1
Discord.
a month, you could have access to their Discord and ours, and have the special not poor badge.
Good point.
All of these
That's
things are
it.
true.
Pitch over. That's the tweet, DJ.
That's the tweet.
That's the tweet, man. MTGstocks.com. Check it out.
You mean that's the Hive?
God.
Not
Is
yet.
that what you call it? Is
What is
that?
that? What I don't know what the verbiage is.
Yeah,
for
is
it.
it a?
They're
is
called
it a-
buzzes. I don't know.
All right, so let's dig into it tonight. We are going to talk more about what is it? Oh, it's BOFA. We're going to talk about BOFA.
Corbin, what's BOFA?
Both
Bank
of
of
these
America.
episodes have been talking about this, and it's
It's
too
Bank
much.
of America.
Well, I was originally planning on asking Adrian to come on last week for this to talk about it, but then I ended up being sick and just being unable to function as a person, so we did delay it for a little bit.
Well, yeah, but here we are. So to recap, and listen, by the time you listen to this episode, even if you went to patreon.com/BSB to get it early, this might feel like old news because we probably had another set revealed since then, another
We have.
set of releases announced. We've had, a high level, pro level event. There was a cheating scandal. There's a lot going on, but not to take, to forget about this. Bank of America downgraded their outlook on Hasbro's stock. They specifically called out Magic the Gathering, which they said they did a deep dive into and concluded that Wizards was destroying the long-term value of its business by overprinting products and facing a glut of extra supply on the secondary market, indicating that things are not selling through and that they are maybe missing on the demand they think they're going to see. All of which led them to downgrade the target stock price even further. Stock price is down $50 from $100. It's down 50% already this year. It's been brutal for American stocks, especially for Hasbro. So yeah, that's the background here coming into this. So we wanted to talk about, let's start with the report and get Adrian your insight here. You mentioned that there are some pretty good detailed breakdowns out there. I wrote one myself for commandersherald.com, but some breakdowns of what exactly the takeaway is from the sort of Bank of America analysis.
Yeah. So the key things that should be said, like there's two key things. That one, it's written very emotive, kind of like you guys always joke about Magic Twitter and things like that. It's written in that, and it's a lot of opinions and stuff like that in it. And from a deep dive perspective, they didn't actually get into the company fundamentals at all. So there's a few things that should be said there. The first one is that, like, Bank of America, so they're accurate that the share price is down 42% this year since the start of the year and things like that. But when you look at things like S&P 500 or most of the other major indexes, Dow Jones and stuff like that, all that stuff's tracking 30 to 40% down for the year and things like that. So Hasbro's share price across this year has actually just basically tracked the index. The one thing that should be interesting on that particularly is that one of the metrics that a lot of companies get tracked on is their profits to earning ratio.
Mm-hmm.
And the top companies are sitting at like 25 times price to earnings ratio at the moment, and most of the companies are sitting at around 15. Right at today, with the share price and things like that, like Hasbro's stock price is sitting at 19.6 profits to earnings ratio, price to earnings ratio, and things like that. So they're right on their wheelhouse of where they should be and things like that. On the Bank of America downgrade, one of the things was their target price hadn't been updated since March. So they had a
Exactly.
target price of $70 something and things like that. And so downgrading it made sense because the price before they announced it was at what, $58 or something.
Yeah,
like
it
that.
was.
And-
It was very near.
So I haven't really gotten to participate in this discussion at all since last week, but one of the things that I thought when I initially saw that article was, oh god, what if these non-Magic financial experts are watching Magic content creators and taking their word as expert value?
Do you think
It
I
kinda-
crashed the stock price? Because that would be amazing.
It kind of felt that way. I'm not gonna lie.
My
It's
profile.
like, what
pic
if they
crashed the
saw
stock price.
a very popular YouTube? They're like, oh, this person has like 600,000 subscribers or whatever. Click on a thumbnail for a Magic creator who does just Magic content or whatever, and they're just taking this person's opinions as fact about Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro.
Yeah, so that's a really good point, because one of the things that they do touch on in the report is the fact that Magic is 15% of Wizards. So 15% of Hasbro's revenue, but it's nearly 30% of their gross profit. But they don't touch into like, where does Arena come into it, and like, are those profits broken down into different business units? Because the paper Magic is called out as 15% in the returns, but software development and everything like that goes into that into a different bucket, which then rolls up into that 30% of gross profit. So Magic is profitable, very, very profitable for Wizards. And so, when a company's making a profit from a business unit, they're going to want to make more of it, plain and simple, and things like that. So, and yes, the writing in the article or the Bank of America report from one analyst, and I'll get back to the one analyst in a bit, is very emotive, and they say that they've surveyed players and things like that. So the question is like, there's no details about what the players were that they surveyed and things like that.
It was
Were
Twitter.
Well, so I actually wonder if they surveyed the players of their local vintage, old school, or EDH play group. Like, there is a very real chance that the person who wrote this report is a Magic player, just the way that they wrote it. Obviously, there's a great article from the Hipsters of the Coast where they say that they looked into where the targets were that they visited, and it appears that the two targets that were visited were a Target grocery and another Target in downtown Manhattan, as they're surveying of big brand shops, because they visited exactly two stores. So again, it does very much feel like that, like the person's writing as maybe a disenfranchised Magic player themselves, because they in that deep dive, as I said, like they don't get into the price to earnings ratio, they don't get into to like the potential growth call outs and things like that, and they don't get into the general market analysis now. And the one thing that I talked about, like the one analyst, it should be cool that there's basically 15 analysts out there that are known to write these sort of every 2 week type financial analysts. 1 out of 15 is marked Hasbro stock as a downgrade. 3 have it as a hold, and the other 11 have it all as a buy. So that's probably one of the single biggest things that I really wanted to say about this is that, like, people need to, like, particularly when you start talking about stocks, they need to be a lot less reactionary, because one of the things that should be pointed out is the average investor in Hasbro is an index fund or a pension fund. 88% of their shares are held by institutional or fund investors.
Okay, so what you just said is mind-blowing to me, because we don't get to see the TV ads of the one dentist who didn't recommend the toothpaste. Like, what? Like, if one person's just like, oh, don't buy this, and that's the article that gets shared around all of Reddit and everywhere?
Yeah, well, so it came about, like the Bank of America report came out like a few days before, but it was picked up by CNBC over the weekend, and that's why it reacted on the Monday and things like that. But yeah, there's 15 major finance and things like that analysts that are tracked by CNBC, and it's 1 out of 15 is marked as a downgrade.
And even that is right. Listen, and even the downgrade, upgrade, like the whether or not they think the current share price of Hasbro is under or overvalued is not necessarily even reflective of any business dealings going on at Wizards. And this was my thing, is when they came out with it, it's people are like, yeah, now they'll do something. You can't ignore Bank of America. And it's like, I just don't think that any of this, like, it's so light on actual analysis. In terms of like you mentioned some things, it doesn't have anything.
It's
about
like your mom
sales.
telling you not to buy Magic cards because they're just cardboard.
It just didn't have any sales numbers. Like it just felt odd. I guess it felt a little out of place in those type of usually very technical type reports.
Yeah, and the big one is that a lot was made of the fact that their share price dropped by 9% in one day. But when you actually look at the volume of shares that were transacted on that day, it is tiny. So as I said, 89% of shares are held by institutional and mutual fund investors. Mm-hmm. So this is pension funds, this is index funds, this all the whole gamut of how people buy and invest in companies nowadays. So that means that of the 138 million shares that Hasbro has on the market, only 16 million of them are sitting in the hands of private investors. So the fact that about 800,000 of them changed hands in that one day is such a tiny fraction, is less than 0.4%. I think I worked out the other day of shares of Hasbro traded hands that day. But that caused, because there's not a lot of shares changing hands, because so many of these because Hasbro is a great dividend paying stock. That is not financial advice, but they are a great dividend stock. They're heavily held by funds, by pension funds and things like that, because they just click $1.50 a share year in, year out, or quarter in, quarter out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one of the things that this, makes me think of is and I don't know the effect, what it's called, but the idea of you read something in the newspaper about your area of expertise and you realize how wrong it all is because the reporter is relaying information second or third hand or whatever, and you realize that this just isn't accurate at all. And then you move on to the next article and you trust everything it says.
Yeah, like everybody thinks that reporters are great at their jobs until they hear something that they have a lot of expertise, and they're like, that doesn't sound right to me. And then the next thing comes on, they don't have any expertise. They're like, I trust the experts.
Yeah, well, this is how, like, I've read a non-zero number of these things in the past. I followed all the Hasbro share news and read all their earnings calls and blah, blah, blah. And this felt to me like out of place. Like I said, it just didn't feel like the type of language typically associated with, the earnings of a company and the price of their stock. And I don't know. So it's interesting. I'm glad you're backing that up with sort of harder facts and figures of what they would typically have. But I don't know. Look, and I don't even disagree with the conclusion for what it's worth. And I don't hate something that maybe gets the conversation going in Wizards, maybe gives somebody inside the building at Wizards having that conversation, something to point to say, let's pull back a little bit. I'm not upset, right? That I think this accomplishes the goal, it might help accomplish the goals a lot of us want. But at the same time, none of this comes as any news to Wizards. And I don't think that one analyst downgrading their share price to $53 instead of $63 is going to change their business model.
Corbin, what are the goals that all of us want?
Is it to make money?
I'm asking you, what are the goals that all of us want?
Yeah, Corbin.
I'm very
Tell
curious.
us more about what we want.
Of all Magic players, what do all Magic players want?
Briefly.
Is it every card $1?
Every card $1 and every card $1,000.
Every pack I open.
Every card I need
$1,000
$1. Every card I have $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Reprint everything I want to buy. Never reprint the stuff I have.
Well, that's the other interesting point, and I think I was kind of hesitant to bring it up last week, but they talked about the lack of confidence in the secondary market and of prices falling. The analysis mentioned the reserve list price falling, the aggregate price of it. And it very clearly made the connection that weakness in the secondary market, both in confidence and price, was damaging to the long-term value of the company, and cited cards going down in price as a reason. And I was like, This sure sounds like what Magic Twitter wanted, right? Crash the secondary market. I mean,
But
the secondary
has the
market isn't
price-
crashing, but like it's just the juxtaposition of people cheering something, saying, "Hey, look at this! We told you that this is bad, Wizards," while at the same time that same person is talking about how you can't just upset the market in these ways without repercussions.
But has the price of actual like investment grade type stuff actually crashed?
I don't think
Like,
crashed is
sure.
the right word, but like it certainly dipped following the crypto bust.
Yeah, I mean, we're
Crypto-
sitting in
crypto and-
a recession and a crypto bust. Like,
Like,
Crypto
I would
and
not
shares.
say that. I would not say that Volcanic Island has crashed, but it is.
Hmm.
It is down from its quote.
Not what it
big
used
air
to be.
quotes. What?
Not what it used to be.
Yeah, it's down from its big air quotes artificial high. It was selling at a very high price, and now it's selling at a slightly less price. But like, I'm still selling quite a few dual lands in preparation for Eternal Weekend.
also,
The big one on the dual lands, particularly because that's such a huge volume of the secondary market, is the prices for the HP, MP, LP stuff. That stuff's really come off. Like that multiple between an LP and like a proper mint card has actually widened a lot now. Like not multiple, percentage gain, I guess.
A lot of the true near mint dual stuff gets kind of weird when stuff goes to Japan, and that has like faded off with the yen and stuff too. So like, there's a few other factors there.
Yeah.
Because
But,
Japanese
yeah.
players like their very true mint blue duels.
Exactly. Well,
And
obviously,
we
I'm
never see that
graded.
stuff again. Yeah.
until you open a Magic 30.
Magic 30 is fine. It is
Looking
decidedly
forward
fine.
to it. Looking forward to it. Loving it.
You're not allowed to exist, Adrian. You're not allowed to get on the internet and say you're excited for it. I don't think that's
Well, you-
allowed.
Bash on 2 weeks ago, and he's even more excited than I am.
Yeah.
That's the I like Elon Musk of Magic opinions.
There's something. People have been watching the eBay prices of the power that has come up from the sort of first run of them that got released at the convention. So we'll see. I don't remember if that's product has released or is about to release.
It is not. It has not dropped yet on Wizard's site, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I didn't know if it came out this week before the
But
episode
people
goes
have them.
up or not.
People
but-
have had boosters
Yes, from
Yeah.
Vegas.
since Vegas.
Yeah. So we'll see
I'm
when the actual
seeing
supply hits
these
the market.
auctions not hit their reserves on these cards. So I
Because
don't.
anyone who's selling now is selling in a super constrained supply market.
Mhm.
It's not even like, we're not even. You guys always talk about peak supply, but this is not even real supply at this point.
Yes.
We haven't even started.
This-
yeah.
This is Slim
Yeah, but then you
Drawsy's-
think the relative scarcity right now, pre like the cards releasing, would drive people to be impatient and pay higher prices. Which is like, it's dumb, but we've seen it in the past every single time a thing has come out.
Also, just hard to say how many of them will actually be on the market. I mean, I know you can do math based on some assumptions and come up with a number, but it's hard for the average person who maybe even wants one or is considering wanting some of it to sort of understand how different the market will look once the product hits. Because honestly, we don't necessarily know. Like, if there is it so constrained that there's going to be 4 of them on TCG Player all at once and that's it, or are there going to be 40 of them? We'll see.
Who knows?
there's no real way to know that until probably early 2023.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's conceivable that this is something we've seen in the past, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but where the internet kind of poo-poos it so hard, you just kind of flies under the radar. No one wants to talk about it if people do want them, and then the supply just disappears because it turns out there weren't that many and people did want them, and then you go after Christmas and the supply just disappears because they're never getting printed again in this in this way or whatever. And then you see the price on them shoot up. But again, we don't know because you're basically asking Commander players at that point.
I mentioned this back when the product was first announced when we did our emergency episode. But a lot of players at this announcement was like, "This is the crack in the well. The reserve list is ending. Like the flood or the crack in the dam.
Yeah.
The reserve list is ending. The floodgates are going to open." And I have the exact opposite opinion of them saying, "No, this is as best as you get. This is the only thing until some shadowy robed cabal of Hasbro lawyers dies. This is the best you get." My pick of the week is kind of related to that, and later we'll talk about that in a little bit. But like, I don't think that we are going to see now we get closer, even more 35th anniversary real cards, and like, we're testing the water. Like, if
It
they were
feels
gonna
like
break...
they're playing just the tip, and if like everybody goes for it, they'll be like, "Well, hey, look how successful this was," because everybody below the people who make these decisions understands the consequences, but the people who make these decisions don't. This really feels they're like, "Hey, if we get away with this, we can do a little more."
If they were
That's
going
how
to
it
break the
feels to me,
reserve list,
and I'm not the only one who thinks that.
if they were going to break the reserve list, this is the time. This is how to do it, right? This is the 30th anniversary Vegas power.
There's no bad time to break that. They break the reserve list when they have a bad quarter. Or two bad quarters.
What bad
Like,
quarter have we
No,
had?
this
ever?
is a way to do it, but like they needed to see if they could get away with it.
I just don't.
If they could sell a booster pack with a pure lace in it for $250.
I just don't think it has anything to do with the reserve list.
Why do they need to break the reserve list to do
Because
that?
they're
They're going to
fucking
sell it.
stupid.
No,
that's just...
but as DJ's just pointed out, is if they can sell a booster without breaking the reserve list for $250, why would they bother breaking the reserve list? Just print, like, there's going to be more collector's editions. You're going to see a collector's edition Arabian Nights. You're going to see a collector's edition Antiquities, and they're all going to be expensive because once again, not every product's for everyone, and things like that. So why would they even need to break the reserve list when they can just make more products and just keep turning on the printers for non-tournament legal products? Because let's be honest, like this, card that slab and things like that this is a collectible. It doesn't need to. It doesn't need a magic back because it's never going in a sleeve ever again in its life.
The play value doesn't come from the back of the card. It comes from somebody putting a $300 volcanic in their commander deck instead of a $500 volcanic.
Also, I'm just saying that this is, maybe tangentially related to that, but formats like Old School or Canadian Highlander that are real enough that they get events, but are technically unsanctioned tournaments and have their own legality. I mean, it's really, really easy for people, if they're in a world of more collector's editions, for the tournament to just not be sanctioned. It's a legacy tournament. Play your duels. The tournament's just not sanctioned, but who cares? You're not going to get your Planeswalker points. Who cares? Right? Like that.
Didn't they get rid of Planeswalker points?
Or whatever the currency is.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. It's not tied to your ELO rating, which is tied to Pro Tour invites. That happens when you go to Friday Night Magic. That's not the world we live in, like it was when I started playing Magic.
It's not ELO, it's ELO because it's an acronym, Corbin. It stands for person.
Sure, man.
It's
so
not
you're
an
saying
initialism.
the days of the F&M grinder are done.
Well, a funny story. I was actually the person in that boat where I'd have to win 8 matches in a row at F&M to offset one loss. Because I'd go play bigger events and do fine or whatever, do well, and then you go to F&M and everyone's brand new, and it's like, it really did. It's like, I don't want to draft in a sanctioned event and tank my rating. It's just not worth it. And I I made top 100 on rating. I was like in that spot. It qualified you for the Pro Tour. So like that was a real thing that people cared about. So all of which is to say that system was terrible, and I'm glad it's gone. But that's the point. If that system's gone, you can just run a legacy event unsanctioned, like almost all of them are locally anyway. And the first time someone pulls that Band-Aid off and does that at Eternal Weekend, then open the floodgates on the collector's cards. Just
Magic is dying.
Just a thought.
Eternal Weekend, particularly though, is the one that will not, because it has wizard support.
Yes.
So, you know, the big value of Eternal Weekend is that word sanctioned, and so we, like, I'm a sanctioned vintage player, or was until I decided to retire this year as a sanctioned vintage player. But yeah, it is a definite badge of honor for those people, is that they can play sanctioned Magic and things like
I
that.
agree.
But yeah, they once you get over to old school, and once you get to Canadian Highlander, and Legacy I think the pit wasn't sanctioned as well.
Like the SCG con events aren't sanctioned in a way that matters, right? There's not official Wizard support coming in there. They're fine. They can run whatever tournament they want.
Well, SCG is the classic example. They were the ones that basically brought vintage back to the American shores by running the SCG Power 9 in 04. The whole reason Eternal Weekend exists is because of the SCG Power 9 tournaments.
And they forced people to play Legacy for the Open Series, and like
for
people
years,
freaked out when Volcanic Island went to $200 or whatever. Like,
yep.
That's what got me back in the game, was the SCG Legacy coverage on the Sundays.
Sad. Now I'm just sad.
Okay, Boomer.
I want more Magic coverage. Let's go. Hire me for your Magic coverage. I mean,
no ulterior motives.
No. Well, the reality is coverage is okay. I mean, there's coverage of a handful of events. It's tournament series like NRG that are doing well. There's just not everything's being done.
There's not a reason to throw 5 digits worth of money at something that gets 30 Twitch viewers. Is that it?
It is true that the level of production and therefore the opportunities available to someone like me are lessened when it's not Wizards running everything. We'll put it like that. But that's okay. Look, we have the Pro Tour back in 2023, and I'm excited about that.
You know what I'm excited about, Corbin? The fact that my pick of the week is related to our discussion.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
My pick of the week is gonna make
you
Jason
let him
mad.
drive the bus one time, and he's gonna grab the wheel while you're driving. Corbin.
I just let him have it.
This is what happens.
I
You
let
give
him
a
have
mouse
it.
a
Hands
cookie.
off. Hands off.
My pick of the week is gonna make Jason mad too, because it's not one card,
All right, let's hear it then.
and it's not even one set of cards, Jason. It's not
Oh,
even.
oh boy, I'm mad because you're lazy. You did it.
Good, you made him mad. Good job. What is it?
It is, gold border staples for pre-modern.
Oh god, you're probably not wrong.
So
Probably.
Ancient Tomb, Survival of the Fittest, Grim Monolith, cards that are powerful reserved list versions of playable cards in pre-modern. We saw the old school spike. We saw the reserved list spike with stuff like City of Traders back in 2016 or so. And Gold Border Survival is like $35. And an EDH version costs $200 more if you want a near mint one. And there's going to be an increasing number of players with these 30th anniversary Volcanics, these 30th anniversary Time Twisters, and just like, I think that there'll be an increased density of players whose rule set is Wizards printed it, it's fine.
Yep.
And
Yeah, which is it's wild that you're like, I'll use a proxy, but only an official proxy. Just use a proxy.
Whatever, people can use whatever they want. People can.
Oh no, I understand.
Yeah, right. But I'm not saying that against you. I am saying that against the person who I had a Twitter DM discussion with, who felt that you only using official proxies is gatekeeping.
The one I would add to that is the retro frames versus the modern frames. You'll find that a number of these formats will go original frame, original art as a rule, which is very, very normal in Eternal Weekend. Eternal Central Old School.
And Old School is...
Oh, for Old School, sure.
Yeah, but middle school will be the same as well. I think you'll find that they'll say original frame, original art will probably be
I think pre-modern you're allowed to play whatever you want. Like you're allowed to play reprinted Brainstorms or like I think you're allowed to play whatever you want. Like Masters 25 Rashad imports and all that.
Okay.
But if I had to narrow down my pick to a couple cards, I think it would be Survival of the Fittest and City of Traders for gold border versions. Ancient Tomb probably. Those are like the three of the cores of the format that you would want to get your place.
It'll already popped. It's like we're gonna be so mad at ourselves for not saying this earlier. Like this probably shouldn't have been a pick of the week, you know. But as a segment, look, thinking about this actually does make sense because if Cradle can pop like Cradle popped, and the rest of the stuff is just as quote unquote worthless,
and just as
these
scarce,
cards are like a couple of bucks. Yeah,
these cards are just as scarce, really.
Yeah. And those seal decks are nuts too. Like that. Honestly, I was getting money for the blank cards. They included like 5 or 6 blank cards in there. Those people loved using those for proxies. So yeah, there's as much as it wasn't the pick of the weekiest pick of the week, it was worth talking about. So you know what? I'm not mad. Up your butt.
I think the gold border Force of Will is banned in pre-modern. I'm not a pre-modern expert, but I think that card is banned. So that one might be lower on the scale because like a $30 Force of Will isn't a big jump to a $70 Force of Will, which is the real one. So probably not as super high on Force because it's not as legal and the price jump isn't as significant as something like Survival or City of Traders. But these are just cards that I have my eye on. Metalworker's another big one that I was looking at recently where it's like, man, a gold border Metalworker is like a tenth of the price of a real one or something like that. And it's just something to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Jason, what are you
I'm
looking
starting
at?
a new format called Pre-Alpha where only playtest cards are legal.
I got some convention boosters over here. Am I good to go?
The 5-mana Phantom Monster, the
target player loses a turn or whatever, or target player loses next turn.
Sunburst. That's Sunburst, yeah. Or Time Walk, which is you got to sacrifice an island. Bonus if you can get the Time Walk where the sacrifice an island is crossed out.
There you go.
Nice.
Pre-Legacy.
Jason, what are you looking at?
Based on Pre-Legacy. And another format called Elder Dragon Highlander. I don't know if you've heard of it, but there is a fucked up card called Teleportation Cycle that does the same thing as Conjurer's Closet in white. Doesn't go as many decks as Conjurer's Closet, but doesn't have as many printings as Conjurer's Closet. This is an AFR card. It's a 1.5 years old already. That's messed up. Get your teleportation circles under $3.
All right, I'm looking at a particular reprint here. And this one you'll have to, I don't know the odds of you actually finding one in the wild because it's from the Warhammer 40K Universes Beyond decks. But the Living Death is about $3.50 and every other Living Death is at least $6 to $7. So it seems likely it's the first reprint of it actually in a little while, for 2022 standards. But it's got different art. It's a Warhammer card. So I think it's, if it doesn't end up being more expensive than the others, at the very least, it's more likely to climb up to 5 or 6 than the others are all going to drop to 3. So
some
if
of
you can
that
pick
stuff
up
in
your
those
Living
Warhammer
Deaths,
decks, like it went to complete trash. This was like its second reprinting ever. And the stuff went to garbage, but like that mono black deck was $80 at my LGS. It's not like people were buying billions of these decks. So like stuff like Beacon of Unrest is never going to recover. That seems so wild to me. I'm actually glad you brought up the 40K deck real quick. My bonus pick of the week is watch Nykthos because it got better in EDH around the same time it got banned. So I think its price could do some funky things.
Nykthos
I think you want to make a big pile of Nykthoses if you can.
Yeah, I mean, that price is so driven by Pioneer right now.
Yeah.
That it's a question as to whether that card survives in Pioneer. We're in the middle of regional championship season. Mono green was not as dominant in the first weekend as people feared, so that would give a little safety to your Nykthoses, but that's what's been driving the price of this one for the last couple months.
Are we all doing bonus picks?
No.
Yeah, okay, we're all doing.
You just did 47 picks.
And I'm gonna, Jason. You wanna know what? You
Do
know,
you have a whole format?
I'm gonna do.
My pick of the
I'm
week
gonna
is
do-
tiny leaders. You did it.
I'm gonna
What
do
do you-
like
what do you-
40 something more picks.
Why are you like this?
What is it, DJ?
That's not what this game is.
On a game.
The game is to help people. The game is to provide useful financial tips on cards we think might go up in the future. And I have a big list of them. And that big list is the Brothers War retro frame artifacts that were recently all reprinted into dust. We saw like $1 to $2 Mishra's Baubles over the weekend as just
Yeah.
so much Brothers Wars product was open. There were some decent buying opportunities over the weekend where stuff got really low. I think it's most of it has rebounded from its cratered valleyed lows. But I mean, we still have like $2 Cage Suns, $3 Platinum Angels.
And Cage Sun was printed at Mythic, and it was $2. It's non-sane. All that stuff. I don't know if people are gonna like it better, but I'm looking to snap off like 4 figures in that stuff. It's all just too cheap right now.
$3 Altar of Dementia, just a lot of like some of it deserved to get dusted. Thorn of Amethyst, thank God it's not $30 or whatever anymore. That card just definitely deserves to be $4. Some of these are like a mesmeric orb kind of situation where the card had one printing for forever.
So it's just anything that was scarcity based
finally got
really
kneecapped. But there's plenty of cards in this list, not even just the serial number versions, but just very, very playable cards that got cut in half and will rebound absolutely based on just natural demand, like Helm of the Host being $6.
Yeah. So anything that's like an EDH staple. If you go on EDH Rec and you look at like the most played cards, maybe for artifacts, anything that's like, in more than like 30,000 decks and like lost 50% of its price, how cheap do you think Aetherflux Reservoir is going to stay? Or I don't know. Some of the stuff is really fantastic and looks good in the retro frame. So I like all that stuff. So you know what? I'm not mad again. You can't make me mad.
Jason is in above it all.
Can I
All
try
right,
now?
Adrian, you want
Absolutely.
to round it out this week?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm
just
try and make
just
it-
post my address. My pick of the week is Jason's address in Kalamazoo. Go say hi.
Is that an option? Can wouldn't JJ eat
That's
that out?
DJ. That's DJ's
Would
thing.
he?
So touching on DJ's comment there, which is pick of the week, is cards that we think are going to go up in value. My pick of the week is the Beta Black Lotus, because that is going to go up in value over time. Seeing as that one.
At what price? At what buy-in are you looking? What price are you looking to buy in on Beta Black Lotus?
I don't know if you can get a nice clean one at $50K, you're doing pretty well, and things like that. I have a couple. Seeing as we like to disclose our things now, but my actual pick of the week is touching on a little bit on what DJ just said there, which is people should start buying full sets of stuff because we talked about like Hasbro, the stock just goes up and down as an individual price fluctuation, but you know what doesn't move is whole set prices, because then you don't care when a whole set which card goes up. You don't care what influences and things like that. So you can actually buy an entire set of cards, and then you treat it like an index fund. So say, for example, you bought a full set of Exodus. For example, you don't care whether Survival of the Fittest goes up, you don't care if City of Traders goes up, or you don't care if some dumb uncommon in that becomes the next chain of, what was the chain?
Chain of Small.
Yeah, you don't care what it is. Everything goes up over time, and things like that. And this is why I'm a full set collector, because you just treat them as like index funds. So, by the way, for the people who don't know, I'm a buy and hold guy. I'm not a flippy guy. I don't flip cards and things like that. But yeah, so you're buying whole sets of things that include reserve lists or unique printings is the other one. Now, the unique printings, they've actually shown that they will reprint some of the things with putting like the showcase cards in the list and things like that. But we've talked about and things like that. But like full set of TSR retro frames, for example, would be a perfect example in foil. Or as DJ just said there, like all the Brothers War retro frame artifacts. If you don't know which one's going to go up, just buy everyone and things like that.
See, DJ, this is how it feels whenever you do a pick of the week like this.
I-
a whole set. Oh, nice pick. So this is how. Look at your face, DJ. This is how you make me feel every
I
week.
disagree with the premise of full set collecting in 2023.
Notice that I did so I did start with reserve list full sets and a set of Exodus.
So how do you find somebody to buy a full set of Exodus though? You don't. Nobody buys full sets anymore.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely do. You come to me when you've got full sets for sale, and I find you buyers.
So person, not people. Person.
I think
You're just trying to
Antiquities
get
is a
us
full
to
set.
assemble full sets. That's really what it sounds like. It's like, yeah, full sets are the best thing to invest in. Go pick them up, and then I'm the guy who buys them. It sounds like you want us to
Do your homework
assemble
for
full
you?
sets for you.
Yeah.
I think the vast majority of people who are interested in full sets, things like masterpieces are what you're talking about, but But I think most people who are buying full sets of masterpieces or wanting to collect full sets of masterpieces have 20 of them already, and they're trying to piece together the rest of them, and they're getting them one at a time. And I, as a vendor, end up buying most of those full set collectors who are just like, yeah, nobody collects full sets anymore. I've heard that so much from just people who sell me one of every masterpiece, one of every expedition, one of every card in Exodus. Like, I've bought those collections.
Did those people make money? Remember what I said?
After holding them for 15 or 20 years, probably, but
yeah, I wouldn't build a set for profit over a short term, for example. So, like, I'm completing a full set of beta graded at the moment, but that's a 15-year time frame project and things like that.
Yes, that number does have to be added to your pick of the week. Yes, that time frame.
Yeah. Okay, fine. If you want a short term one, just buy Wheel of Fortune, people.
Wheel of Fortune is absolutely an underrated EDH card. That card will be $500 like within the next few years.
I think if you buy an actual
it's a boring card for boring people.
Doesn't matter. So is Smother and Tithe. So is Great Henge.
Yep.
But Wheel of Fortune, if you buy a pimping version, either Alpha Beta or the Judge foil, it'll be $5,000 in a few years.
Probably true.
Well, yeah. Because there's just not enough copies of it in the world.
Yes. Nekisar players are a different breed.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was awesome. Adrian, thank you so much for coming on, for arguing with DJ. We always appreciate that. And for all the insights. This was a really informative episode, actually. This was awesome.
Thanks very much for having me, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for staying up late or waking up early or whatever it is you do on your side of the world to meet with us at our time of the world.
It's lunchtime.
That's weird. But good for you.
Corbin, you eat dinner at like midnight. What are you talking about?
That's weird too, man.
Yeah.
Corbin, like, we've had to record this podcast at like 11 p.m. and Corbin's like slurping cereal, just like, hang on, guys, I gotta finish dinner real quick.
I don't look who on someone for a midnight bowl of cereal. Okay, that sounds
no. It was the
normal.
midnight bowl of actual corn that we had a problem with. You ate corn.
I forgot about the corn.
I don't know what we're talking about anymore. I don't recall this.
I forgot about that.
I'm a little confused by this one.
Cornfused. We're gonna let him get away with corn. All right.
I decided to give him a pass on that one. It was
Jason's getting cornery at Corbin's corn puns.
Jason really doesn't like being out comedianed, does he?
I'm the funny one.
If it ever happens, I'll let you know how I feel about it.
I'm the funny one. Everyone knows that. And on that note,
I bet a non-zero people have come up to Corbin and said that he's the funny one, and that Corbin will never tell me their names because I just want to talk to them.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Thank you again to Adrian for coming on. Thanks for listening. Thanks for everyone who supports us. Thanks to our sponsors, MTG Stocks and Coalesce Apparel. You can go use the gift code Brainstorm Brewery there to get a discount off merch from any of your favorite Magic content creators. So thank you to them for supporting us. Thank you to you, the listeners, for tuning in. We'll see you next week.